my predictions for the meta after the ban list with Ennie's Lobby and the Red Purple Law Leader. My word is not gospel. I've played a lot of the game though, so I probably have a decent understanding of what's going to happen, but again, I don't think anybody really knows what will happen until it actually happens, but these are just going to be my predictions and my opinions. So here we go. Zoro, I think it goes tier 2. I think Zoro will be decent. There's not as heavy removal though, but still with Lucci being a card in the game that just pops a 2 and a 1, and Zoro not playing a ton of high cost characters, I just don't see him being above tier 2, almost tier 3 I would say, because stuff like Reiji was going to rise up and have a lot of 3 or less removal, is that what I think Niji does? Not sure. But there's just so much removal in the game still that I don't think Zoro can go above tier 2 until the Chopper engine comes out. Oh wait, no, the Chopper engine is coming out. I'm an absolute idiot. This is OP08. I need to think in OP08 terms. So yeah, I think Zoro easily can go to tier 1 with the Chopper engine now. We'll see what happens. Red Green Law, garbage. No, I'm just kidding. This is such a hopium and copium deck. I love it, but it just takes so much. It's still won a regional even with Sakazuki full power, and Red Purple Law is not going to be a super big issue. Sakazuki, I meant Rob Lucci. I think it'll be tier 2. They might not be able to pop 2 5-drops as easily anymore, which will make Red Green Law a lot better, but you just get toasted by triggers. There's so many triggers that bottom deck a 4 or less, bottom deck a 5 or less, KO a 5 or less, KO a 4 or less, and if you just run into those at the wrong time, it's just so bad. Red Green Luffy, this is tier 3. It's a really fun deck. It's got a lot of potential, but with how prevalent removal is just in general, like Grab Blade just kills this deck. A lot of things can just kind of kill this deck, and it only has 4 life, and the effect is just so fair. If they had to pay like maybe 1 less Dawn for the leader effect, it would be a little bit more fair, but this is a really fun deck, but I think it's still tier 3. Green Odin, I think, is fine. It's kind of garbage tier, to be honest. There's just way better leaders to play. If you're playing this, you're just kind of like making a point to be edgy because there's a lot more better and more interesting green leaders. We've got Dofi. I think Dofi easily goes to tier 1 without Red Purple Law and with Sakazuki. I mean, it's basically Sakazuki without Rob Lucci without the stage rather. Dofi can probably just get away with a little bit more, and I think it's just gonna easily worm its way into tier 1. It's just got so much different utility, and bottom decking is just so strong. I think it's just gonna be good. Purple Kaido, it's fine. It's going to be tier 3. It's a fun deck. Very fun deck. With Black Maria and Onigashima. Okay, this is actually kind of a sleeper deck. With Black Maria and Onigashima and all that, all the new support. I think this is actually like a decent deck, and the leader effect is super good, especially into things like green that rest cards early. If you can just knock it out immediately and ramp it on, it's crazy. Like, this deck can go off. It can play Sanji into Kaido. It can do a lot of fun stuff, but it's just too fun is the issue. So I think it's tier 2, maybe tier 3, because Purple Kaido and King will probably just be better, but I think we can just leave it at tier 2 for now. Blurple Croc, I think, is fine. It has like a lot of new stuff, but like, why would you play it over Dofi or Yurple Croc? So I feel like it's just tier 3. The effect to draw a card is just kind of power crept now. It's just not as good. It's very good in the hands of very good players, but it's just a fine deck, I would say. King, garbage tier. There's just way better purple leaders to play. You're just kind of wanting to be different if you play that. Whitebeard, I think Whitebeard's tier 2, maybe tier 1 if you can dodge your Enels. Black kind of dunks on Whitebeard a little bit, but I think Pressure and Red is going to have a much bigger spot in the meta, so we'll see what happens. But Enel is going to be probably fairly prevalent, which just kind of dunks on Whitebeard as well, so yeah, I can't really put it below Red Green Law, right? That's kind of troll, so I'll just leave it there. We've got Garp. I want to say tier 1. The reduction that Ennie's Lobby has, Garp might be able to provide and just KO 2 massive bodies on the same turn. We'll see. This is like a bold prediction. I don't think people are going to be running Garp a ton, but I've actually seen a lot of talk about it recently, so we'll see what happens. I'm going to drop it down to tier 2 just so I don't get dunked on too hard by anybody who sees this video in the comments. We've got Kinemon, like garbage tier. I honestly don't even know what he does, but it's just not good enough to be played, I would say. The other mono green leaders like Uda and Bonnie are just infinitely better. Please play those instead. It's probably fun though. Like, the Wano engine is fun, it's just not very good. So this Sanji leader is just garbage tier. I've seen a few meme lists where it can top with just playing all 2-drops, which is like really fun and silly. But I think it's just too fun and silly to actually be good. Ivankov, like low-key tier 2. Super good, interesting leader, and now without Eni's lobby, they might not be able to clear both Ivankov and Inazuma in the same turn efficiently. I'm sure they'll figure out a way, but they may not be able to do it efficiently. So I think this deck has an extra leg to stand on, and also you're not getting double Gordoned bottom decked every single 2 seconds. So much more fun Ivankov play. You can use Duval a lot more and feel good about it because it's not going to get bottom decked by Red Purple Law, things such as. So I think Ivankov's fine. Yeah, I think it's fine. Magellan tier 3, it's fine. Like, again, if you're going to play mono purple, you might as well just play Ploofy or just something else. Like, this is just fine. It's pretty cool with like stuff like Porsche and Lil Sadi and the Jailer Beast, but it's too fair. It's too fun. Z, King is just infinitely better, I think, but Z is one of my more liked leaders. I think it's just garbage tier though. Maybe tier, no, I'll put it tier 3. It can do stuff, but I just think King does every single thing it wants to do better. Smoker, I'm just gonna put it at tier 3. When it gets to the new starter deck support, I think it'll be a lot better, but for now it's just kind of meh. It's like the worst black leader, right? I don't know, it's not great. We've got Ace. I think Ace is like easily tier 2, maybe tier 1. I'm gonna say tier 2. I don't think it's gonna be played a ton, and I think other matchups can just kind of beat it. But it'll be really interesting to see what happens to Ace, Whitebeard, and the other red decks. We'll see if we have like a little bit of a red renaissance. Kuro is garbage tier, way too fun. It has 5 lives, which allows you to get away with some things, but it's just too fun, and Gravblade destroys this deck. But if Kuro gets ahead, it can definitely run away with a win, and that is very funny, so it's still garbage though. Arlong is kind of also garbage. It has 4 life, and it loses a card every time it uses the leader effect out of hand. And it only plays 4 or less, right? So it's just kind of trash. Just super easy to play around, super easy to get rid of every single thing that they play, even if Eni's lobby and Red Purple Law is banned. Nami is like easily tier 1, like I want to say almost the best deck in the meta. We'll see if Zoro and stuff comes back to check it, but I'm not even sure that the new Zoro stuff can really check Nami anymore as well, with Whitesnake and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Iceberg is definitely like fine. He's tier 3, I don't think he's garbage, but he's super fun to play. It can kind of mess Reiju up a little bit, which is funny because you can always be at less dawn than them, I'm pretty sure. But unless you're looking to just be a boogeyman to red, purple, or blurple Reiju players, then I think it's tier 3. This Lucci is like probably fine. I don't see why you would play it. The leader effect is way too high of a cost unless you're just swinging for game. But it's really fun. It gets the CP package and still, but the other Lucci is just infinitely better, so again, you're just trying to be different if you play it. Black Yellow Linlin is... It's yellow and it's black. It can probably do a lot of fun things now that Red Purple Law is banned. You could play like the homies without them getting bottom decked every 2 seconds. But this leader effect is also like really costly. I'm gonna put this in tier 3 just because of how expensive the leader effect is. If it was just a little bit less fair, then that would be cool. Katakuri, tier 2. It's a fine deck. It's super easy to play around if you're better. If they hit perfect triggers, then yeah, they might be able to win the game, but at this point in the game, I think Katakuri is like fine. It's not really an issue anymore. Enel is a much bigger gripe I have. Vivi, garbage, can't attack leader. Really fun to play, can do a lot of things. At the end of the day, can't attack leader. and you can just play around the can't attack leaders so well if you just clear their board, don't focus their face a single time the entire game. Eventually they run out of resources and you just kind of dunk on them. Vivi can give their characters rush, so it's like a little bit better. It has the blue and the red removal access, but it's just mid, unfortunately. It's almost there. I want it to be there. Green Purple Dofi. I think this is tier 3, maybe tier 2, depending on how long you can get away with Sugar being on the board. I think she just kind of gets killed anyways by like Lucci and stuff like that, so I think this is tier 3 deck. Setting 2 non-active is also good, but it also makes all your plays super predictable, so meh. Isho leader, garbage. Perona is just infinitely better. This is just such a cool effect, but just doesn't really pan out ever. Rebecca is tier 3. She can do a lot of stuff. Wait, actually, Rebecca might be pretty decent now. She kind of gets just outpaced by Reiju and a lot of other things probably, but if she can slow the game down enough to get a slight edge, she might be able to win some games, and she probably has access to the best removal package now? Question mark? So I think Rebecca's actually pretty decent now. We'll see what happens. Queen, I think this deck is just bad. It needs like cards specifically printed for it to be good again, I think, like a EBO2 or something like that. It's just, I never lose to it. I used to lose to it sometimes when it first came out, but I never lose to it anymore. It's just so easy. They always have a million bricks in their hand, or they can never see what they need at the right time. It's just fine. It's super easy to play around too, because you kind of have to super telegraph every single thing that you do. Yurple Croc, I think, is tier 2. It has a lot of the same things and qualities that Enel has, but now with Miss Wednesday, and she might be able to stick on the board a little bit more now that Red Purple Law is not a thing, you can kind of just not swing at your Lucci opponent, and then if they don't draw Spandum turn 1 rather, they don't have any trash, and if you don't swing at them, they don't have trash again, and then if they mill, they only have 2 in the trash, and they can't Lucci you. I know that was a super long, stupid explanation, but I feel like Yurple Croc goes up a little bit as well. Red-Black Sabo is super, super good and underrated leader effect, and now that bottom decking isn't a thing anymore... wait, where'd I put him? Where'd Sabo go? Sabo? Alright, well, Sabo vanished, unless I'm just not seeing it here. Alright, well, Sabo's gone forever. But I think he's tier 2 or tier 1. I'm honestly leaning towards tier 1, because it kind of counters black. And it just kind of can't... and nothing can get really KO'd the whole game. It just seems really good. I think Sabo's going to be tier 1. It's a bold prediction, but we'll see. Bello Betty, garbage. Way too easy to play around. You just don't swing at them. You only win against bad players, or unless you just draw like the most insane sequence ever. Just a bad deck, honestly. Resonante, tier 3. I want to put it higher, but it's just still bad against black, and black is going to be super prevalent still. Your Sugar and stuff won't get bottom decked as much, but it's just not as good. Purple Luffy, I think tier 1 or tier 2. I'm just going to leave it at tier 1 for now, because I think it's going to be really good, especially without Any's Lobby being able to remove 2 of your big bodies every single turn. So I think Purple Luffy comes back a little bit, and Purple Luffy can also run a million tech cards that can make it good against basically anything. Enel, also tier 1, which is another reason why I think Purple Luffy will be tier 1 to clear out some of the Enels. Enel is going to be tier 1, as always, and it's just really frustrating to play against, and I wish they hit a yellow card, but it's fine. Enel has a good matchup into Zoro, bad matchup into Nami, decent matchup into, pretty good matchup into Dofi, actually, and then everything else just does fine against. It's kind of a skill check. In some regards, it's a skill check, but again, even if you do every single thing right against an Enel player, you can still lose to the trigger at the end of the game. It is what it is. I hate it. Uda, Red Purple Uda is just garbage tier. The leader effect is too costly and you just end up with no cards in your hand at the end of the day, and then you lose. Hody is garbage tier. There's a reason this alt art leader is like $3. I want them to print good Fishman cards, but they really don't seem to want Fishman to be very good, so. Perona, I think, moves up to tier 2 without Ennie's Lobby being as consistent. Perona's probably a little bit more viable of a choice. I think Perona's pretty underrated. Her synergy with her leader effect is super fun to use. I like her a lot. You can either do the Navy package or the You Can Be My Samurai Draw a Million Cards package. Either one of them is super fun and pretty good. And also she has a pretty decent matchup into Reiju, just kind of being able to KO anything that they play every single turn probably. So I think Perona's going to be pretty decent. We've got Yamato. Yamato is always like tier 2 at least, I feel like, because you just kind of force your opponent into 50-50s the whole game. Obviously it's not as good against the better players, but it's pretty good against bad players, and again, it just makes your opponent take hard choices the entire game, so it's pretty good. Reiju, tier 1, easily. Super good leader, and Red Purple Law was basically the only thing holding it back, so I just think it skyrockets to tier 1, probably like the best deck or the second best deck. I'm gonna say the best deck because it can run Gion and just kind of dunk on Nami that way. Gecko is probably tier 1, I would say. With Ennie's Lobby being axed, Gecko just becomes a little bit more better, and Gecko's always been the more consistent Rob Lucci, so I think Gecko is really good. Red Green Odin is tier 3, way too fun. It's super good if you can get the 5-drops out, but at the end of the day, black is still black, and black doesn't have any problem removing 5-drops still, so it's just going to kind of get dunked on still, but it's very fun deck. Hannibal, I don't know, it's just terrible. Don't play it. Kyros is terrible, don't play it. Not even going to elaborate. They're just really bad. Dragon is probably tier 2, maybe tier 1 because he's a 5-life red leader. Dragon with the Ivankov package is probably going to be super good, cheating out all the Rev Army characters if you can get like the right setup with that. It's just not super consistent because you have no way to really set up the top deck or anything like that, so I think Dragon is tier 2. Zoro is just a little bit faster, more aggressive version of Dragon, I feel like. Yeah. We've got Bonnie. Bonnie's tier 1. She's nuts. She's so good. And without Ennie's Lobby, Bonnie is just going to kind of be able to play big drop, and then eventually black will run out of resources. Even if they're running Ice Age and stuff, they will run out of resources eventually, so Bonnie is super good. Boa, I think, moves up a tier, but she's still just the worst Dofi in my opinion. She's fine, but yeah, literally the way I can explain her is just Dofi, but worse. Foxy tier 2. Foxy is a very fun leader, very good, but it just doesn't really hold a candle to any of these decks up here. Can't really do anything against them. But these decks in the middle here, really fun and good against them. So, Foxy is a very fun leader. It can kind of ruin Enel's day a little bit if they don't get too crazy. It's decent against Dofi, pending they don't see a million Gravity Blades Red Rock into Mihawk. And then it kind of just loses to the other things. It loses super hard to Nami, which I think will be much more prevalent, unfortunately. Lucci is going to be tier 1, 100%. He's still the best black leader in the game, without a doubt. It's just basically blue-black Sakazuki with 1 less effect and 5 lives, which is, in my opinion, what makes it so good. 5-life leaders are so good. Yeah, Ennie's Lobby doesn't hurt the deck that much. Oh no, they'll have to use Ice Age before they KO all your things instead, I guess. It does impact the consistency of the deck 100%, but it's just still not that dramatic of a change. I wanted them to hit a Cosmoria, but whatever, that kind of ruins a lot of other decks, I guess. Vegapunk, tier 2. Vegapunk is like a sleeper. I've actually seen a lot of OP08 Vegapunks topping in regionals, even against full power Red Purple Law. So if it could do that with the full power everything, full power Lucci, full power Red Purple Law, this deck is easily tier 2, maybe even tier 1. I don't want to put it in tier 1 so I don't get dunked on too hard, but I'll just leave it there for now. Chopper is fun tier. It's kind of garbage. It's very cute. It can do a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, 4-cost Rob Lucci is a card, so Chopper bad. Marco, I think, goes to tier 1. I don't have a lot of experience playing with or against the deck personally, but from what I've seen, a lot of people say it's going to be very, very good and much more prevalent now that Ennie's Lobby and Red Purple Law banned. So I'll just take people's word for it for now. Carrot is fine. She's tier 3. She's just the worst version of Bonnie, I guess. If you're going to play a mono green leader, just play Uda or Bonnie, really. King. So I think King will actually be tier 1 now. I think without Red Purple Law being able to bottom deck their Block Maria and the other stuff that they're trying to do, King will be much better. I think Lucci will still be the better black deck, but I think King will definitely stand a chance with the purple element being able to ramp and stuff like that. It'll be a really interesting meta for sure. We'll see what happens. Pudding. I think without Ennie's Lobby, Pudding becomes much, much more dangerous and scary, and without Red Purple Law as well, being able to just pressure them out of the meta. I think Pudding becomes very, very decent. I think it's a pretty easy-ish deck to play around, but at the same time, Kaido Linlin and the new Animal Kingdom Pirates are so strong and so insane that you can just easily sack a game off your opponent by playing one of those cards if they don't have an answer immediately. So I think she does go to tier 1. Kalgara is also going to be tier 1. He is nuts. He's just a yellow aggro deck, which I think is a really refreshing look at yellow. I'd much rather play against Kalgara than Enel any day of the week. Enel is just exhausting and boring to play against. Kalgara is cool and based, so that's my opinion on that. Red Luffy, garbage tier, it's fine. It's tier 3. It's like the leader effect is so mid, but you do get a leader effect every turn, which is better than some decks. Some decks are just a vanilla leader for some turns, so I guess it's fine. You're just trying to be different if you play it though, which is fine. We need different people in the world. Kid, tier 3, you can always just double swing at somebody the whole game and no blocker diff them, I guess, but it's just not as good. And again, if you want to play a mono green leader, play Uda or Bonnie. Is this Blurple? This is Blue Croc. Blue Croc, tier 3, just play Dofi or Boa. Is my opinion on that one. You don't really want the Don -4 anymore, it kind of hurts, whereas before it didn't really feel too bad. Yeah. Purple Kaido, I think, is actually tier 1. With all the new Animal Kingdom support, I think it's going to be very, very good. And again, without Ennie's Lobby, they're not going to be able to just pop 2 big drops every single turn. So, yeah, I think Kaido will actually be pretty decent. And it will keep Enel in check, probably. So this is what you should probably play if you hate Enel, I would say. Purple Shanks, S tier. Tier 0, actually. No, just kidding. This is garbage. It should actually be banned for how bad it is. This card, too. Big Mom. Yellow Big Mom is tier 2. It's like you're just trying to be different if you play it, but it's super fun. The homies... Wait, Big Mom and the homies might actually have a better chance now that everything doesn't just get dunked on by Red Purple Law and bottom decked immediately. We need a card that protects your homies from KO effects. Oh my god, that would be so big. Oh my god, I'm cooking so hard. Alright, Big Mom's tier 2 for now, but we'll revisit that soon. Black Luffy, why are you playing it? It's fine. You're just trying to be different though. It's fine. Yamato, again, you're trying to be different. It's at least tier 3, I guess. It's kind of annoying to play against and has access to everything yellow has, so I guess it's fine. Red Purple Luffy, I think, goes to tier 1. The only thing holding it back is the 3 life, but again, if you're a really good player, you can kind of play around with the 3 life the whole time. You can play a million 9-beards, and now they probably can't KO your 9-beard every single time without Ennie's Lobby. Your Zoro Juro and your other stuff that you play when you're ramping up doesn't get bottom decked by Red Purple Law, so I think you have a much better chance. I feel like I'm putting a lot of things in tier 1, but we'll get over it. Red Purple Kid, it should be banned, but when Gold Roger comes out, I unironically think this is going to be very interesting because it's a 5 life red purple leader, so you can ramp to Gold Roger immediately, drop a million on their head, and then laugh. I think that's going to be really interesting. Uda is tier 2, she's fine. Bonnie is just much better. She's very consistent, very, very, very consistent. Actually, without Annie's lobby, they might not be able to just KO 2 Luffys at the same time. They might not be able to KO Kid and a Luffy or something like that. But I don't think it really does much against all of these decks. I think Bonnie just kind of phased Uda out a little bit, and she's going to be tier 2 until the new starter deck comes out, and then she's still going to be tier 2, but it's going to be a more fun tier 2, so that's good. Zoro Sanji is tier 3, at least. I'll put it tier 2. There's a lot of fun things that you can do with it, and now that Red Purple Law is not just going to be really toxic and bottom decking your sugar or whatever you play on the field every single time, it's going to be more fun, but again, it's just doesn't have enough going for it at the moment for it to really be much better than tier 2, but it's definitely a fun deck, and it can probably steal some wins, so I'll leave it tier 2. Red Yellow Sabo, don't have a lot of experience with this deck. It seems really strong in the right player's hands, but it's kind of meh, right? I don't know, seems pretty meh. I'll leave it at tier 2. It's very interesting though. We've got Ace. I'll leave Ace at tier 2 as well. I don't have a ton of experience with them. They both seem fine, but never something that I would really want to play personally. And not something where even when good decks I'm playing against, I'm like, oh, that's crazy. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. You know what I mean? Black Yellow Luffy is just tier 1 for sure. Keeps all the black decks in check. The Sabo chain is just really strong, but I don't think it's going to be as strong or as prevalent with red potentially cropping up with stuff like Rush Luffy and Diable Jambe that Black Yellow Luffy will have to play around and watch out for. So I think Black Yellow Luffy actually maybe not as good with Nami and everything, so we'll see. Red Uda, banned. It's so bad, it's just should be banned. This blue Luffy is just a worse Ivankov. It's garbage tier for sure. This Sakazuki should be banned because of how bad it is. In all actuality, it's probably tier 3. It's fine. You could probably win a few games at locals with it. Maybe even win locals with it if you get lucky. Or you see good matchups, but it's just not good. And then Rainbow Luffy is banned, obviously, because it's not an actual card. So that's my opinion. I feel like I have a little bit too many things in tier 1, but I feel like the meta is actually going to be super healthy. I don't know if you guys will agree with my opinions or not, but we'll see. If you liked it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.